Hey guys, I'm recording this little intro here because I didn't actually get to do an intro with Thomas, who is this week's guest on the podcast, Thomas Krajna. He is one of the creative agents in the lab, obviously, and we have a really awesome talk. So I just wanted to give a quick introduction of him and explain why I didn't actually do an introduction in the first place. So with that being said, let's get right to the talk that Thomas and I had, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Oil paints or spray paint. So
Okay,
it's
sure,
kind of
yeah.
it's
like
kind of one of those things where gotta wait to the summer.
Mm-hmm. So when you when you wait till the summer, do you mean you're gonna be getting a new place, or are you gonna be just like working outside? What do you think?
I'm gonna be working at my parents'
Okay, cool.
house. They have like a little shop, so I have like this project that I was doing on where I was trying to make like a little like wooden like jewelry.
Oh, sure. Cool.
Like I was just using the shop tools, whatever, to
Mm-hmm.
grind the wood out of this. So I don't know. That was a project
Like
that
a
I
little
started.
Dremel tool or what?
Yeah, it was a disc sander.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you just do so obviously you don't just stick to digital art,
Mm-mm.
which is a pretty
Are we
sick.
starting?
I mean, I just fired it up. Like I said,
Oh,
we're
okay.
just like I wanted it to
Yeah.
be more organic. So yeah. Um, but like I said, so you stick to digital, or you don't just stick to digital art. What
Yeah, a lot of
what
my
other kind of stuff do you work on? Sorry.
no, you good. A lot of my process is shifting from the physical world into the digital world. So like I don't know, I keep a sketchbook on me.
Sure.
I got like ink drawings and notes.
Probably pretty chaotic, I'd imagine. My notes are always super chaotic. So.
Yeah, like I do printmaking stuff.
Oh, awesome. So did
So
you carve that into like a piece of wood or rubber?
yeah, linoleum.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I got my friend Maddie was huge into printmaking for a while. She did like copper plate printing, where she
Hmm.
would etch it all into copper plate, and then
Oh, that's dope.
yeah, she's got some really awesome stuff. Actually, this isn't her, but she gave me this. I'm gonna show you this.
Was it? I think it's like the Slim Shady LP. I
Hmm.
had that in like middle school.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I was just listening to it, and I don't know. My tastes have changed a little bit,
For
but I
sure.
thought I was pretty cool. Uh, but I also, I guess, a little bit about me. It was like I had this iPod Nano that I
Hmm.
found on the ground,
No
so I got
way.
introduced to Juicy J and who was it? That whole like 2012 like
Oh,
rap,
like Wiz Khalifa and everything.
Blue Dream, and Lean too.
Uh
That
huh.
mixtape from
Okay.
Juicy
Sure.
J,
Sure.
Project Pat,
Yep.
kind of all that South almost. Yeah, or like post 3 6 Mafia
Mm-hmm.
members.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was. I don't know. Uh, my tastes have changed, but there's definitely some bangers
Absolutely.
from Lex Luthor, like crazy production.
Uh huh.
There's some really interesting like tonal orchestral within the beats that they make. So definitely some inspiration.
For sure. For sure. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Menominee Falls,
Right on.
just kind of a suburb. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. There's not really too much in Menominee Falls other than nature. So I guess I kind of have like some like there's definitely some spots in Menominee Falls that I go to when I revisit. Um, but I'm just living in Milwaukee right now, so
Any plans on changing that up at all, or is Milwaukee kind of where you're thinking of planting the roots for a while?
I think well, I work at a ice factory,
Mm-hmm.
or manufacturing, and so I think I'm gonna do that for a little bit, get my motorcycle license, so post like college.
Sure.
That's kind of the only short-term plans, and then I have like aspects of being like an expat and like going overseas to Amsterdam and checking out the Swiss design
Yeah.
and aspects that are I don't know, just kind of I don't know, I'm just frustrated with America a little
Yep,
bit,
I
and I
hear you,
just
man.
kind
I
of want
hear
to
you. It's tough. I
yeah.
had ambitions to visit and travel Europe. I was gonna do a 3 week excursion in Europe, and I still want to, but life has just kind of been pitching curveballs at me. For what, I mean, the pandemic threw a wrench in everybody's plans, not just in
Oh
mine.
yeah.
But my original plan that I've been formulating the plan from like 2018, but my plan was to go in 2022 for 3 weeks, and just like I said, a bunch of different things happened, and some wrenches had been thrown in that plan, and now that I'm moving to Atlanta, there's like a whole nother other thing to focus on, and so eventually, I will make it a point to get out and explore Europe and everything, because what we think is old here is like modern there, which I think is insane. Like there's stuff in Germany that was built in like the 1600s, you know, and that's insane. And like there's other places that go back even further than that, and like I can like that that's only like 5 people ago, 6 people ago, which is
Yeah.
insane if you really think about it. Like in like a linear family structure, like your great 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 grandpa or whatever would have absolutely no grasp on anything, any aspect of like normal life today, which
Yeah.
is awesome to me.
Yeah, that's kind of something that I was looking into. The proto post-human.
Yeah. I remember you
Something
talking about post-humanism. What you wanna
yeah.
expand into that a little bit?
Well, I don't know. It was just something how you were talking about how like I was interviewing Eliza, and she was talking about, well, technically, like, don't you think people from caveman era would think we were post-human if they had a concept of humanism or
Sure,
whatever? So
sure.
it's like kind of like I've been using it. Well, I don't know. I haven't really been taking it seriously. Like I haven't been I've been using it more as a meme,
Okay.
in a way, like um yeah, like it's like this advanced society is looking down at us
Yeah.
and like it's saying, all right, the proto post-human using the technology to advance their cause, and it's a pocket watch.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that's what I don't know. That's what yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think America's like super young country, like 200 years, something like that.
Well, and just
So
the
it's
fact that
like
we come into power, that we came into the power that we have, like as a country, in such a short amount of time. It's weird because like it doesn't seem like we've had the pitfalls that other major societies, even surviving ones, have had in the past. You know, like, but maybe that speaks to how advanced human beings have become as like an organism, or maybe that speaks to advancement in cultural levels. But it's really interesting that we have retained the power that we have for so long, so early out of the gates of actually becoming a country. You know.
yeah. I mean, I think that's debatable. I think America empire is in decline,
Oh,
but
absolutely. I wouldn't
yeah.
say that it's not in decline, but like,
But I definitely understand what you're talking about,
yeah,
how it's like we can become a super world power and have this idea of American dream. And then now it's like, I think my peers are starting to understand that it's like this dream was profited off other people. And like
mm-hmm.
to have that dream again, we would have to kind of just not look at other people as people. Said that the CCP had something going on with data and tracking and like some aspects of a technological infrastructure within China,
Mm-hmm.
and how basically they were being a surveillance state. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess I mean, it's always, you should be critical of anything that's coming from like the New Yorker, the NPR, like stuff that's coming in from a distant land.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I don't really know. I mean, I'm not trying to say like every information about China is misinformation or something, but I think it should just be like critical of it. But I don't know. I was just hearing about that, and I definitely think if America was to be like a superpower, it would have to do something within technology or emerging technology.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I mean, we have Silicon Valley, but that's a little bit different than uh, like having face tracking upon like surveillance systems and like stuff with integration with the police. And I don't even know. There's just so much crazy stuff going on
Yeah, well,
in the
and
world.
being that China is such a controlled state, like it makes sense that there's so much insane stuff coming from there because like that's their task at hand. Like they're being told that they have to do this research and like they're that's like one of their main intentions, I feel like, is like just growing technology over and over. Like they're set out to do that, and it's like we're doing that here because we want to, they're doing it there because they're forced to. So it's like with a country that's that big, I feel like with such a dense population, the amount of people working on stuff like that is just way more massive than here, you know. So it doesn't surprise me that they're making these technological advances before we are, because they're almost being forced into it, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you mean by they.
Well, just like
Who is they?
The
Like the
Chinese, I
party?
guess, like the Chinese
Yeah,
government, just Chinese people, like China as a whole,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah. Was it? I'm not even gonna embarrass
Yeah, this
myself.
isn't even a political conversation. I don't know. We just kind
It's
of.
mostly about like looking about how states and countries are being. They need to have technological technologies to be hegemonic infrastructure. Like
Mm-hmm.
to have dominance around the world, you need to have this cutting this difference because we work upon market relations. So it's like to have that new thing, to have that new technology is
For sure.
profitable or like aspects of wanting. Um, yeah, I guess it's like you hold a monopoly upon an idea, like upon like an item or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
For sure. For
Yeah,
sure. Well, that was a great start. I love that we got into that, and I think it's really cool because those are just the different types of conversations that we have in this on this platform and everything. So, but let's switch gears a little bit, start getting to the meat and potatoes here. So
yeah, definitely.
as far as we talked about how you don't just use digital platforms to create. Obviously, you got your paintings and your woodworks and so on and so forth, sketching and all. But when we are talking about digital platforms that you use to create, what is your bread and butter? What do you mainly go for in that realm?
I mainly go for Illustrator.
Okay.
Well, my workflow is like, well, I do stuff for school and then I do stuff for myself.
Sure.
So for myself, how my process goes is that I draw something, then I go to Photoshop, then I go to Illustrator, and then I export it out.
Okay.
So I mostly spend a lot of time in Illustrator just because vectors and other aspects, but I use different programs for different stuff.
Sure. Sure. And so, when you think about doing stuff for school and doing stuff for yourself, do you treat the processes differently, like in a like a mindset of like I can't mess this up for the school stuff, or I can mess this up for the personal stuff and it doesn't matter? Like how do you handle the pressure of actually creating for the different like outlets that you create for?
Yeah, I guess I would say for my personal art, it mostly lies upon autonomism and aspects of the subconscious. So it's not really challenging in some ways. Like there's like an idea I want, and then like how to do that. That's challenging.
Sure.
But it's not. I mean, I've theorized a conceptual apparatus for how my work is being interpreted,
Okay.
but I have so that's why I can be more free form and still have meaning towards the art. Um, but like most of it's just kind of how I'm interpreting my daily reality and then just kind of funneling that.
Sure.
Um, but when it comes to for school, and which I mainly mean like design work, I mostly think about conceptually, more conceptual based design and looking at. Well, I mean, I've been trying to transition into designer from artist
Okay.
lately, or trying to find aspects. So like in my personal art, I've looked at like negative and positive shape relationships and line dynamics. So in order to inform myself within design, yeah. So
Okay.
I've been using all the skills that I've been collecting or been manifesting from my personal art into my design work.
See, and that's interesting because I feel like a lot of people in similar situations use what they learn in school and everything and take that and put that into their personal art. But it seems like you kind of take a different approach to that, which is really cool. And I'm gonna come out right away and say this: like it makes complete and total perfect sense that you're in the lab to me. Like you come off as somebody who embodies a lot of what the lab is kind of putting out there, just with your general inquiry about all this higher level stuff, or deeper level stuff, I should say. You're very intelligent with how you approach things, and it just I'm so interested in how you construct the way that you're thinking about stuff like this, because I just don't do that. I mean, my head doesn't work like that. So it's so intriguing to me the way that you approach things on just a much more in depth and in tune way, especially design wise, because the stuff that I've seen you create is really, really interesting and intricate. Like some of the stuff you put up on Instagram is very just visually appealing, and I know that there's probably so much more behind it than I can actually interpret. So I'm always interested to read what you say about it or listen to what you have to say about it when we're having our talks within the whole group and everything. So I right out of the gate, I want to say that like you got it going on when it comes to this stuff. You're really crushing it for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess yeah, that's one of my things. I gotta work on my art Instagram thing. Make um I need to make an icon motif like sheet that has like all these symbols that I use and an explanation for it, like kind of like a character
Like a key.
D&D. Yeah, kind of like a key.
Sure.
And then so like I would have like a yonic interpretation or something, and it'd be like feminine aspects or whatever. And then it'd be like and then also the artist statement, which I'm always crafting. I don't know, I got like 17 pages of just like notes, and it's just like so much stuff is going through my brain.
Yeah, and that's awesome. See, because like I don't like, there's nothing in the file cabinet for me. Like I don't sit there and systematically go through stuff in my head. Like whenever something comes to my head, it's like bang, that's it. Well, it's all a mess. It's all chaos. But it seems like you got so much stuff going on, but it's all got a place where it fits neatly, and you can kind of like, oh, there it is, and you pull that out. And so I don't know. I think it's awesome. And me thinking that you kind of meld perfectly with what the lab is doing on this research for for an individual about what they want to research. That kind of brings me to wonder how you got involved with the lab, and kind of where your relationship with the Immersive Media Lab started.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like everyone, Chris had reached out to me from taking 277, I
Okay.
think, or 212 digital studio practice.
Yeah,
That
that
was the
was
class.
212. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I guess like I don't know. I had always thought it was like it's kind of sounded like a uh how would you say a club.
Mm-hmm.
I had always so I didn't know it was actual class. So I had like jam. Yeah, I had heard that you had like you're like a jams major or
Yeah,
something.
Jams Minor. Yep.
Uh, yeah. So I had like some classes for that, and then I switched them out and kind of just reorientated. Instead of taking this class senior year, I'd take it junior year. So yeah, and it all worked out. Now I'm here.
Yeah, and that was the first kind of when I heard about the lab too. I also thought it was like a club similar to that, and upon my entry of doing what I'm doing for the lab, I realized very fast that I was like, oh, this it's not a club at all. It's a lot more than that, and that's I think one reason that when I first came into this position, I was a little nervous because it went from me thinking that it was like an extracurricular thing, like everybody's having fun, to realizing like that there's actually some stake in it for the agents and for myself, obviously, because like I'm being credited for the internship. But like I realized that it was a lot more than I had originally thought, which put more responsibility on me to take into consideration the feelings of the agents when I'm making posts or when I'm doing stuff like this and discussing their research and telling their story. So it definitely gave me some perspective on how to handle it all. And it's not a club; it's a lot more than that. And I think what's set up is a really great tool and outlet for people to, you know, do their research. And the fact that anybody can really be a part of it, still, like, it's still open. It's not like this exclusive thing. I think that's awesome. So
Yeah, I definitely enjoy like the decentralized aspect of the lab. I think that's I don't know. I think a lot of some students like don't know like um I don't know. I guess like sometimes there's an aspect of like intrinsic like wanting to know like what next or something, but I kind of always found that a little bit easier to navigate since it's just kind of like, well, I don't know, I just think about it or like I just kind of I don't know, I guess I kind of only really well, I mean, I have extrinsic value within society and stuff like that,
okay,
broaden it out, but also like in general, I kind of have more intrinsic values and like intrinsic like motivation or something like that.
sure.
And I kind of only do stuff that I want to do.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's it's cool that that's the case because a normal case curriculum doesn't allow you to do that. But
Yeah, definitely.
this allows you to not only be like it's not like you're really being taught anything, but you're learning what you decide to learn, and you're showing the value that has been given to you by learning that, and you're explaining that, and that's one thing. Like I'm glad that I'm a part of the lab, but thinking if I was an agent next to the position that I actually am in, I would be I would be way more nervous than I am right now because I just don't know what I would do because like I said, my mind doesn't really work like that. Like I like being creative, and I love being able to use the Adobe Creative Suite to do stuff, and I like cutting up videos, and I like making music and so on and so forth. But like when it comes to really getting down and dirty and analyzing something, for what it is, or getting huge into the technical side of it, like the people who are doing crazy 3D models and
Yeah.
stuff like
And
that
Blender.
yeah, Blender's nuts. All that stuff doesn't compute for me. So that's why I'm like, oh, this is so cool, because this gives me access to seeing all this stuff and like reading about it and learning about it without actually having to like get my hands dirty and mess up and like go through the painstaking, because like it's not something that I would be immediately interested in like throwing myself into. I got too much going on outside of all that. But the fact that I get to learn about it and from people who aren't just being forced to do it, they're doing it because they want to do it. That makes them enjoy it so much more, which makes it so much easier and more exciting for them to talk about it to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's like you're able to glean like secondary sources from every single
Mm-hmm.
creative agent. So it's like, stuff that in my group, like Anna's doing like VR environments, or she's doing something else this week, but aspects of like, it's like I can almost have like a fraction of someone's brain into me, and I just like, it's through analog means,
Yeah.
so it's like I have to physically like type everything, or like look at everything and then internalize it, encode and decode like what other people are doing. But it's like I have access to all these like amazing work in the lab, and it's like really cool because it's like I really want to engage. I think it's Brian that's doing it, but it's like within virtual environments and creating like a
Like
game or
knowledge,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
Brian is creating learning experiences in a virtual environment that's like a playable. It has a playable interface. So like
Yeah,
within of like a VR realm or something, he's setting up. He's using Unreal to create this like game basically that he's using as an educational means. Um,
yeah, because like I've always kind of wanted to do that. I've always
mm-hmm,
wanted to make. I guess I've kind of always wanted my art to like have convey emotion,
mm-hmm.
or have I don't know. I feel like a lot of art at the museum is very static, and so like having like going through virtual environments, it's like it's easier for art to be fluid, or to like morph and kind of, I don't know, convey emotion, or I don't know, stuff like that. That's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of but I'm not as smart within like C sharp, or I think that's the programming language. I'm not really too sure, but I'm not I'm not as smart within like programming as Brian is. So it's like, or coding.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's cool to like have access to that, because it's like if I ever wanted to do that, I can just archive the page and then like
Well, and
pick
you
it
know,
up.
if you
And, like,
ask Brian a
mistakes.
question about coding, he's gonna be stoked to hear that you have a question about coding. You know, it's like you're not
Yeah,
going in to somebody who's like, oh, like now I gotta teach him something about like no, he's gonna be stoked. He's gonna be super pumped to hear whatever you have to say about
yeah,
it. So like, the lab is a hub of information from people who want to talk to you about this stuff, who want you to be excited about it as well, and who's equally excited, and that's what's so cool to me about it all. And
yeah, definitely.
so yeah, so is there anything right now in the lab that you're like really focusing on, that like that's kind of like the culmination of what you've been researching thus far in the semester? Do you have like a single piece that you could put that on, or what do you think?
You mean like a tagline, or like
Yeah,
an aspect
yeah. Like,
of
well, so if you could say like, if somebody asked you, "What are you doing in the lab?" Is there one thing that you would go to? Like, what's the most prominent thing? Because obviously you're working on a bunch of
yeah.
different stuff at once. So.
I'm mainly focusing within the theoretical realm about post-humanism,
Mm-hmm.
and like how to act. Yeah, I've
Okay.
just been calling it post-human ethics and identity.
Cool. Do you want to open up into that at all, or?
Yeah, I can say a little statement about what it is, but I guess kind of thinking about being into this platform, I think some of the audience that's going to be watching this isn't going to be knowledgeable upon jargon that I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to say, so it's like I don't want to intimidate people or
Sure.
like I think like I don't know, I can just say them how I want to say, and then you can ask me what that means.
Yeah, I'll see if there's a way to break it down a little bit more. That's dude,
Yeah.
that's the point. That's the point of this. That's what I'm trying to do here. Like I'm not only am I giving the agents a platform to tell their story, but I'm also here to take really big words that I'm confused about and make sure that I understand them. Because if I'm understanding them, like it's likely that
Yeah.
everybody else is gonna get it too. So.
Yeah, definitely. So post-human ethics is the analysis and deconstruction of the human subject and what it means to be individual with contemporary technology advancing and how to act in different environments. That's how I would describe my focus.
Okay. Um. Hmm. Read it to me one more time.
All right, yeah. Post-human ethics is the analysis and deconstruction of the human subject and what it means to be an individual with within contemporary technology, with technological advances, and how to act in different environments.
Okay, so human subject. You're talking about a person in the physical field, like just what you would like any person is the human subject, right? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's like human in the physical, because I like through my analysis, like think there's other realms of my. Well, I don't know. When I mean subject, I mean like whoever Thomas Krajna is,
Okay.
whoever whoever you are, you know. So it's like um, that's kind of the basis. That's the starting point, and then I like work through through these weeks of like what it means to be human,
Mm-hmm.
what are our aspects that it's like um so like if you can go beyond, if you're a human, then it's like you can like do stuff that's like beyond it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because like humans is, I don't know. Yeah, and then kind of like how that kind of shifts within like technology and like different like environments and like how to behave and like how to, I don't know, how to exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say different environments, are you talking different physical environments, or are you getting into like this XR field of like augmented reality and virtual reality too? Does that have anything to do with it, or are you talking more just like actual physical environments?
Yeah, talking about definitely XR environments, also aspects within social um places. So VR chat, which is a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3D chat room. I looked into Omegle.
Mm-hmm.
I looked into, definitely cringe there.
Yeah, I bet.
Probably will never be on there again.
Without, yeah, I
What
don't
I
blame
do
you
for
for
the
that.
lab, and then aspects within social media for Instagram and aspects. So just kind of like how people interact with the internet and how people interact. I don't know. It's kind of broad. It I definitely didn't put any limits on like what I would announce
Mm-hmm.
or
Analyze.
look into. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that's it's interesting. So I'm starting to think what's going through my head right now is different environments that this would be
Yeah.
useful for analyzation. So it's like because a lot of it could be like workplace environments, the way that people act when they're at work versus how they act when they're at home, or even just how people act when they know that there's people around to see them versus how they act when they know that there's nobody around. Is another thing that kind of comes to my mind. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something
That's
that you
definitely
can.
interesting. I guess I've been Well, I guess I've been looking at aspects of the human, and like I guess I can just start with like what I did for week one,
Mm-hmm.
and then because that was kind of like the stuff that like catapulted me, and then I also looked into aspects of where the post-human is within society,
Mm-hmm.
and so I can just like walk you through like the framework
Yeah,
that
for
I was
sure.
looking at too. So I don't really think um, that identity is fixed. I think there's more fluid aspects that so like when you say so like how when we said like oh how are you doing, we are updating a mental aspect of our identity, um, through space and time. So it's like at one point you know who I was, but now I've changed now, and you ask me how am I? And
Mm-hmm.
so you're updating that profile. I
Yeah.
don't really like to use that word too much, but like that aspect of yourself. Um, so that's kind of how it goes. And so if you're updating, then it's like also there's other aspects that are kind of missed. And so Derrida looks into hauntology, which is fancy word for saying that like your past haunts your future in
Okay.
aspects. And
Sure.
so like um I think we've talked a little bit about this,
Mm-hmm.
but for people that don't know, um he uses the word of ghosts. And I've been thinking about how like an aspect I've been thinking about been using the terms called the origin, which is like who I am right now, and then like reflections and refractions of the self, which would be like the ghosts or like these
Okay.
other aspects of people's of like awareness. So like at the start of this podcast, that is a ghost. Right now, whoever the viewer is going to be is going to is going to be looking at a ghost
Yeah.
version of myself because it's not the same person who I was um, when I see you guys next week
Yep.
on Friday.
Sure.
So I'm gonna be wearing different clothes. I
Different
might not
stuff will
have
have been going through your
glasses.
head. Yep.
Yeah, and I talk about. Well, you bring up a good point about different stuff in your head, and so I looked into the aspects of these um, ghosts and like how, in some ways, they can possess other people, and so like these ideas can have like determinants or barriers that push people or push ideas. So like I made a mistake. I realized I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that ghost informs my future and can possess me to not do that,
Sure.
to
Okay.
make
No,
that
I feel
mistake
you. I
or
feel you.
something like that. And it can also be like more pessimistic in nature too. Like, uh, I don't know, just like thinking about like, think about like high school cringe and like
Yeah, like you
walking
you
home or something. And
you
it's like,
bomb and
it
do
can,
something real embarrassing, and then the ghost of that embarrassment hinders you from doing other things in the future, per se.
yeah, definitely. And so I was looking into there's this guy called Josh Stubbs and he does like he does this thing that's a meme. This is my no square. Please don't touch me there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, some kind of I don't know. I don't not my type of comedy, let's just say.
Sure, sure, sure.
But yeah, and there's this person, this subject within space, within VR chat that was like um that was younger and was saying that, and like it was kind of a an aspect of like how like internet influencers through social media like affect other people and like can affect their daily life and daily interactions with other people. And
Mm-hmm.
while I was looking into like how it's more parroting or aspects, yeah, so I was looking at about analysis of like social behavior within environment, and aspects of like humanism and identity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, it did.
So or you can go.
Sorry. I'm thinking about all this and just the past versus the present. And one thing that's really kind of sticking out to me is like so for example, Rachel and I, my girlfriend, we before she left for Atlanta, we were watching The Sopranos. The Sopranos, super popular show. I'm sure you've heard of it. But it was filmed right at the turn of the century. So like right at like 1999 into 2000s and so on. And everybody uses flip phones and pagers and landlines and stuff like that. And I think a lot, especially while we were watching it, I was thinking how much different the show would have been had it been filmed, 10, 15 years in the future when they had the access to technology that people from that time frame would have had. So like people now or 5 years ago, they were always connected to the internet, always be like just due to the technological advance. So I wonder how much different all the stuff and I know that's just a show, but how much different things would have turned out if they move forward with the technology. So it's interesting to see how that could have played out in those situations. So I don't know, maybe I'm lost, but that's just kind of something that I was thinking about is how much different things would be for that show if it was filmed now versus then, especially with even political cues and like just social norms and everything, how much different it would have all been.
Yeah, I'm taking Jams 113, I believe. Could be wrong on that, but it's like digital something. But anyways, I just do the homework.
Yep, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah, but there's that aspect of technological determinism, which basically just, I don't know if you know about that
I
through
have heard the
Jam.
term. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
but
sure I've taken the
that's
same
the
class that
concept.
you're talking about. So
Yeah, but that's the concept that you're talking about is how the social infrastructure affects human interaction, human aspects.
mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of what that was something that I was looking into.
Okay.
So yeah, it was definitely, so I don't know, I do like the cultural examples sometimes. So like this week I did post-human wearables. So I looked at retrofuturism and aspects within like kind of, I don't know how would you say, but like influencers or aspects within more social rather than material aspects of life.
Sure.
Yeah, so instead of like looking at like the core processor of the VR headset affects the user because they can't look 360 around and like in full 8K or whatever.
Yeah.
Mostly looking at like aspects of like that's kind of more social in nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So and I think so now even thinking further into it, um, I'm thinking about how so how in period piece films, they like completely clear out city streets and everything and like replace the cars on them with cars from that era and all the tech is tech from that era and everything. It's interesting to me how they portray the life that people lived in those periods. Like if they have a period piece, say from the 60s, that was made in 2020, that's a 60-year difference. How does everything that we have access to now affect how well or how poorly they can portray that time, like that time period? I wonder if that has anything, like if it makes it so they can do it better, or if it's something that they'll always be missing something. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, and I
wonder.
guess that's kind of aspects that I'm also talking about is that there's a refraction from the origin
Mm-hmm.
and how like so with I'll just go off your example that so say that well maybe would it be okay if I use that 70s show
Yeah,
as more of an
absolutely, of
example?
course.
Yeah, I think most people have seen some stuff of that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a 2000 film or 2000 series
Yep.
that's mimicking aspects um the '70s show
Sure.
of the
Yep.
'70s,
Yep.
and so it's like the actual '70s that occurred in history, like this time and space,
Uh-huh.
is not going to be. There's too much data to be interpolated within like a web series, so you already have like a conflict between like um what information to pick and choose that's a
Mm-hmm.
representation. So it's also
Okay,
aspects of
yeah.
like
There's just too much. There's too much to get right or wrong. Like there's
yeah,
stuff that you literally just can't copy because it's just too intrinsic to it all.
yeah, or so there's different, so you probably wouldn't hear queer narratives within that '70s show,
Yeah.
or there'd be very limited. And then it's also very American focused too, so you're not going to hear international stuff within that was happened through the '70s and other aspects. Yeah, and so it's like there's very a lot of fractions, and I think a lot of people understand it because I don't know. I guess that's kind of like what I'm doing in the lab is that I'm just like deconstructing it
Mm-hmm.
mostly in theory or in like a ideal realm because I think a lot of people understand a lot of aspects. I think we're pretty much already like post-human in a way
Mm-hmm.
since we're like basically we're already like cyborgs. I got like this computer that's in my pocket. I
Yeah.
got like I'm talking to someone that's like across like in a different space right now,
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't be able to do within like 1970s or like aspects of that. And so it's like I think we're already are. It's just post-human. I think it's like aspects of like advancing the post-human cause for betterment. So
Sure.
rather so I've been reading this book called I think it's just philosophical post-humanism, or I watched some web lectures on it, and they're talking about like post-duality. So like you don't really have a concept between like man and women,
Sure.
or like concepts of hierarchy. You just like you wouldn't have hierarchy aspects because there's a weird within hierarchy. There's like weird like power dynamic that goes
Mm-hmm.
on. So that's why it would be beneficial. Aspects of like post Anthropocene, so like how we would be navigate like the semi deconstruction of the world, and like or the climate change effects within it. So it'd be like a positive would be like looking at how with the non-dualism within different species of animals, it would be like, okay, I should care about chickens. I should care about the water, the microbes, the bacteria that's in my
For
water,
sure.
aspects of that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the last one is, but yeah, I've been kind of looking into aspects of like how the post-human navigates the world, and those are kind of more looking into aspects of like analog means. So it's like um, I don't know, like don't buy meat, or like changing diet preferences or
Mm-hmm.
aspects of that. And like but also there's like I don't know, I think it's super interesting to look into aspects within like virtual environments, because that's kind of where I go into that ontological fraction. Uh, I can go more into that. It's kind of like through analog means, it's like writing down like these notes were like a past version of myself that wrote it down, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not really the same. And then also aspects of like, but that's an analog means, so text, um, uh, books, because it's like we're having a conversation when
Yeah.
you read a book. It's one sided, but you can still have like maybe half of a dialectic. Like you can have a thesis and a
For sure. Well, and especially
antithesis
if you're
and
reading that book,
conversation.
if you're reading that book, like, and the story is being told to you, you can react to the story being told to you. You can get upset with what's happening. You can get excited when a character wins, or you can get sad when your favorite character dies. Like it's happening to you. This book is not just there. It's also like the act of you reading it means that this book is happening to you, and you're reading like it's a thing. It causes something that's like an actual experience for you, even though it might not actually be like physically taking place in the physical, like right here, like this desk. It might not be, but it's in your mind. It's firing all those neurons. Like that's what's, to you, it's real because you're there. You're putting yourself in
material
that space.
Though. It has a material contagion. Like if something I see has chemical imbalances within my brain or sets off different fires, isn't that physical?
Yeah, no, I see what you're
talking about.
Yeah,
maybe it's like
I think like there's aspects
physical.
Yeah, there's definitely aspects where both there's things from what we're both saying that are like kind of melding in a realm.
Yeah.
But like I'm saying, like you're not like reading this book and then looking up and like watching what you just read happen, you know. But you're thinking it, like you're living it in your own head. So it is interesting to see where the lines of physicality versus metaphysicality are kind of like blurred or even dissolved.
Yeah, because I think that's like how it relates to like the human subject, and like post-humanism itself is like, well, are those emotions really yours? And kind of how I was talking about those ghosts possessing. I use possessing as like kind of I don't know, like kind of a.
Well, it's an easy descriptor. It's a word that people can understand, but it's a little more intense than probably what you mean.
Yeah, I think it's hyperbolic.
Yes,
I use it in a hyperbolic term. But yeah, it's like, so when I read that book and I watched a movie and I cry, you know, are those it's like this movie idea is like in fact like in my brain, like it's like possessing aspects of myself, which can go into like more spiritual aspects too, about low frequency and like higher frequency and like other spiritual stuff that I don't know if I necessarily believe all the way, but I think there's definitely something that's to that. That's something that has to be analyzed and like be looked into further.
For sure.
Yeah, I guess I kind of also wrote about aspects of this kind of contagion. But I guess I wanted to say one of the things that I wanted to say about was that how like where are these ghosts? Where are these like fractions of the self? And one of the concepts that I got was noosphere, noosphere, and it's this archaeologist, and he talked about how there's the material plane, like there's the earth, and then they have the atmosphere, which is like the air, and then like the stuff between it, the noosphere, is the electronic signals between the data and the satellites.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, so thinking about that is on a physical realm is wild, because you can't see any of that shit, but it's like there. Like, I've seen a couple of there's like a video that I saw that was like a representation of Wi-Fi. Like it was like what Wi-Fi would look like if it was a thing. And it's wild to think about that, because you don't think about it. You can't see Wi-Fi, so why would you think about seeing it? But like when you
can't see it yet.
Yeah, that's the thing. But when you can see it, if you can see it, it could potentially be this like encapsulating thing that's everywhere that you look, because especially really
5G now.
Yeah, and if you have Wi-Fi coming from one place and then a different provider's Wi-Fi coming from this other place, like how do those two types of Wi-Fi like cross and interject? And now what does that look like? And what is a text beaming from somebody's phone up to a satellite and shooting down on somebody else's phone? What does that look like? So wow, that's
definitely,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I guess like that's kind of, I don't know, that idea. I definitely wanted to share it with you. because it's like a really cool, interesting. It makes sense. It makes sense that like there would be this environment where like
Yeah.
these archives, fractions of the self, live within like data and like I don't know. It was the cloud.
Yeah.
Like aspects. So I guess the cloud is also like another area where people are like I don't know, memories are
Yeah,
stored.
nobody knows where the cloud is, but everybody knows what the cloud is, but nobody's
Well,
seen it before.
yeah, I haven't seen it in physicality. I've seen pictures. It's like a factory,
Yeah,
a computer
which
factory.
is crazy.
Yeah, like some really good marketing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just a giant server room, I bet you.
Yeah, and yeah, it's crazy. But I was also looking about so like okay, these are like I was just kind of curious. Well, a year or a week ago, I was looking at mortality of
Hmm.
these fractions of the selves, and then yeah, I guess I can look into aspects. I don't know. I have like big notes about
For
them.
sure.
Yeah, because that's also like another thing that I wanted to, I guess, showcase or like engage in because I feel like I don't know, it's kind of interesting to think about. So I was looking about how like aspects of multi dimensions, and so like when you have like when you make a decision.
Hmm.
So this is like almost like a frontal like aspect of the self or the
Okay.
post-human is that like when you make a choice, you can either make like yes or no. And so like if you click if you click yes,
Uh-huh.
like the no reality like doesn't really exist or it kind of dies in a
Sure.
way.
Sure.
Um but then I looked into how aspects of that people there is kind of this I don't know, I came to the synthesis that it's called dynamic contagion of the superstructure alters the significance of the multidimensional hauntological ghosts. And to break that down is that there's patterns within society that shift and alter and affect other people, and it's within this ideal realm that's not connected to the mode of production of how things are made. It has significance upon these multidimensional aspects of choice and ghosts and stuff like that. So
Sure.
it's like um if we wanted, or I don't know, people can imagine a reality that didn't happen
Hmm.
and can live that. So a good example would be QAnon. QAnon did not happen. Trump is not like the a god or whatever. He's not
Uh-huh.
like well, I don't know if there's any QAnon supporters listening, so sorry.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
think
I
I don't
doubt
think adrenochrome
it.
is gonna I think there's some truth, like there are pedophiles,
Yeah,
but I don't know. We
obviously
we can
it's a
talk
little
about that
messed up,
later. But
and
anyways,
yeah.
or you can go.
So well, basically, all I'm saying is that for one, we're just about to hit an hour, which feels
Okay.
insane to me because this has been I've been engaged from the jump. This is awesome, and I seriously want to have you back on with Chris B because I think that conversation is
Yeah,
one
I
that
like
needs to
Chris.
happen.
He's
He
cool.
well, and you guys are both just so good at talking and so full of knowledge. I did the same thing with Chris. When I had him on, I looked up and we were at an hour already, and I was like, oh my god. So. I really hate to cut you short, but like I said, I got
No,
that
you're
meeting
good.
and everything. But dude, just really great stuff. I was I have been engaged this entire time. I'm super interested in just the ideological
Yeah.
medley of things. You got so many different avenues of thought that make me think, and I like when I get to think about stuff because I feel like I was coming back at you with some good examples and like
Yeah, definitely.
grasping along. So that's one of the reasons I'm upset that I have to cut this short. But thanks a lot
Yeah,
for coming
I guess
on.
could I like have a like or say something
Yeah, for
that like
sure.
I knew the framework of this podcast was going to be hard to do because there's a lot of theoretical foundation that I
Mm-hmm.
have to like almost like speed through to like talk about like what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
So it's like no, yeah, no worries. Hopefully anyone that's listening was able to glean some value from it.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I really care about. That there's value produced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess aspects of I guess I felt I don't know. I feel kind of weird to leave off on like the QAnon example, but it's like it's that aspect that like people are living a different reality, a different
Yup.
framework within reality that is not necessarily orientated to the origin, or like there's a shared reality.
For
We all
sure.
say this is reality, that's it. But there are aspects that can shift and
Uh-huh.
alter reality itself.
For
So
sure.
that's kind of what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there either. And please, any QAnon supporters out there, we're not relax, all right?
Yeah,
But
I'm definitely not a supporter of QAnon. I definitely mainly why I know about it is to de-radicalize people from it, and actually
exactly.
because it actually hurts a lot of families from it, and yeah, so like that's kind of why I know about it. Yeah.
But going back over to the grand scheme of things, I really do think that there's more to this conversation. There's more that can be had, and more that we should put into place to be had. And I really think that having another set of ears and another brain to bounce ideas off of, and have some more banter with would be really good to get in. So I think we should talk to Chris and see if we can get him in on this too, and do a little
Yeah, definitely.
special edition episode. But yeah, seriously, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish we could go longer, but just not in the cards right now. But great job. Seriously, thanks
No
a lot,
worries.
Thomas.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch, and I will talk to you on Friday. All right.
All right, cool.
All right. Take
Till
care,
next
man.
time.
Yeah. Take care.
Peace out.
Peace.